Because of Matthew's close proximity to the east coast of Florida, not too far offshore, estimated wave heights anywhere between 20 and 30 feet. If the center of the storm moves very close to Cuba, the circulation could get interrupted because of the mountains and the higher elevations here. That could make for a weaker storm prior to landfall in South Florida. If people get stuck in their houses, what kind of advice would you give them? Go to the second floor, go to the attic, go to the roof. Can you talk about that a little bit? Rain on the first alert live Doppler radar this morning. Marco Island, you're getting hit with a couple of showers. The rain is not going to last long for you, though. Seeing this area expanding and working its way towards the water. We did see some pretty impressive rainfall amounts, though, a little bit of localized flooding. Radar picking up on an estimated 100-mile-an-hour wind inside some of these thunderstorms. We can time this line out here. It's moving between about 15 and 20 miles an hour, but if this strengthens anymore, I wouldn't be surprised to see this speeding up a little bit. Note from St. Pete, Tampa up to the north, where we're going to see some really impressive rainfall amounts. These are through Monday night. A little bit more manageable in the range of 2 to 4 inches for us here in Southwest Florida. This storm, this tornado, was only on the ground for 2 minutes. If you're concerned about storm surge and you didn't evacuate, that is something that you really need to think about even changing your mind maybe this morning. We can look at what's called the volume scan, so we can see kind of inside of the storm and we can see how tall that thunderstorm is. So you can see it's weakening a little bit now, but here would be about 30,000 feet. You can see that this storm is still producing some lightning, some rain. Not a concern for us here in Southwest Florida, but kind of neat to look at there. And after your car's been in the sun for just 30 minutes outside, that inside temperature is 124 degrees. I got a question on Twitter this morning about heat lightning. Well, there is no such thing as heat lightning, but what I want to show you is way down here farther to our south this morning, where we do have some showers and some thunderstorms that over the last hour have been producing some lightning.
Kristen Kirchhaine is still looking at some of that high water. Kristen?
Yeah, and this is what we talk about. We're not talking about widespread flooding across Collier County. We're talking about localized flooding, and that's what we have in this area here. We are on Ridge Street in Collier County, which is between Goodlet Frank and US 41, and you can see across this area in this neighborhood where we're dealing with some of this localized flooding. The people across the street here, you can see the back tires of that truck are submerged. Just the mailbox sticking out here. Couldn't ask for better weather to be outdoors this morning. If you had 80-mile-an-hour winds at the ground level, those winds could be as strong as 100 miles an hour on the 30th floor. We've been up here for about 8 hours now, but this isn't the end of the story by any means. We're going to touch back down. The plane will refuel. There's another crew of people waiting to take this aircraft right back up into the air. We're out here today at the Naples Municipal Airport, part of the Hurricane Awareness Tour. Today here in Naples, this is the 5th and final stop on the tour. One of the captains who actually flies one of these planes. This is Captain Jason Mansour. Thank you so much for talking to us. Jason, what do you want people to know about this event that's happening here today? Today is kind of that day we've been talking about. Are you going to make the decision to stay, or are you going to make that decision to leave? And if you're going to stay, any of that prep needs to be done by the end of the day today. I see some issues out on the rivers, and so that's something we're really going to have to keep a close eye on. And if you live near one of those rivers, be on the lookout for some of those rising water levels.
All right, Kristen, thank you.
Kristen, every weekend we learn something new with you. We're kind of peering over, amazed at you calculating your forecasts over there.
I wish they could have a camera during the break, because Lucas and I often sit here sipping our coffee, chatting, and Kristen's
like,
always over there, like, and she had these cool graphics, and we're like,
measuring
what are you
the
doing?
height of the storm.
Yeah, so we're going to look at that, because this is kind of cool.
She's
This
the
is
smart one of the group, right?
Exclusive coverage now from the NBC2 Hurricane Tracking Team. You've seen the satellite pictures before. Tonight, we are literally taking you inside this tropical system. This is video you won't see anywhere else. NBC2 meteorologist Kristen Kirchhaine has our exclusive report.
Let's track out 135.
135, covering.
They are a crew of men and women.
100, Jess, come left.
Given a task like no other.
We're going to be sampling the wind at our altitude as well as the low levels to figure out
whether the storm has strengthened.
As long as it's still closed off, it's still a tropical cyclone.
The NOAA hurricane hunters fly directly into tropical storms.
Most importantly, we need to get the Hurricane Center information on its current intensity so that they can now issue new advisories and new discussions.
We have Arc Center.
There you go.
We just went through the expected center of the storm.
Multiple passes through the same system are made to attain the best data.
We just made a turn.
Here it goes.
Data that has to come from within the storm.
Each one of these sondes that we drop gives us better data to close that cone of uncertainty, the prediction cone that you see on TV that the weather forecasters are talking about.
All in an effort to keep you safe.
We know what the storm is doing now. Hopefully we can get a better prediction to all the people that are in harm's way.
At times,
We're about to fly into what is supposed to be kind of the most convective corner,
the ride isn't so smooth.
and this will probably get bumpy.
But this well-trained and dedicated crew hardly notice. Our mission didn't conclude the storm had intensified.
There's just not the wind speed to give us that kind of white capping motion and make me think that this is picking up in intensity as of right now.
But it was in constant flux during our flight.
It's moving slower.
East is something new, and now we also have some shower activity on the northeast side.
The storm was evolving, as it will continue to do through the rest of its life in the Gulf of Mexico. And as for the view,
That's beautiful.
it's like nothing you've ever seen.
As the sun starts to go down, our mission is coming to an end. We've been up here for about 8 hours now, but this isn't the end of the story by any means. We're going to touch back down. The plane will refuel. There's another crew of people waiting to take this aircraft right back up into the air.
Kristen Kirchhaine, NBC2. We are in for a cloudy and wet stretch of weather here over the next couple of days. Plus, we're keeping an eye on a tropical system now in the Caribbean that looks like it's going to move into the Gulf of Mexico. But the exact track of where that moisture is going still somewhat in question. You can see the Gulf of Mexico is nice and quiet now. This is the system that we're watching, and that area of thunderstorms really blowing up this morning. You can see that on the cloud shield here. So this is the area that we're going to be watching. It is expected to move into the Gulf of Mexico. As that continues to do so, we will see a pretty decent surge of tropical moisture moving in, and that will move in over southwest Florida. That means we're going to see a lot more cloud cover around as we move into the next couple of days, plus the potential to see some heavy rain. Now, the models still not in good agreement about where all of this moisture is headed exactly. The European continues to take this back towards the west. Yesterday was closer to Mexico. Today, closer to Texas, so it's coming a little bit more in line with the GFS. The GFS wants to continue to take this almost due north. That's the model that you're looking at here. That GFS solution would potentially bring some heavier rain close to us here in southwest Florida, but with a wide range of solutions on where all of this is going. Again, there are still some question marks in the forecast here, so just make sure that you're checking back as we head into the next 24 to 48 hours. As we move forward in time, we will start to see some consensus with the models, but still not a lot of agreement here. So the main question will end up being, where does the heaviest rain go? It doesn't look like this is going to develop into anything real strong. It doesn't look like we're talking about a hurricane. We may see a tropical storm developing here. Our in-house model suggests that the heaviest rain does fall out over the Gulf waters. That would be good news for us, but if we see this track moving in or out a little bit farther, that would mean more or less rain for us here in southwest Florida. So again, that's something that we're going to continue to watch closely as we head into the next 1 to 2 days. National Hurricane Center giving this area in the next 5 days an 80% chance for development. It's about a 40% chance in the next 2 days. There's also a tropical wave about 1,200 miles east of the Windward Islands. This is pretty far away from us here in southwest Florida. About a 50% chance for development in the next 5 days. That one's far away. A lot of time to watch that, and we'll be doing that over the next couple of days as well. It does look like we will see some unsettled weather the first couple days of the upcoming week here, but more sunshine returning as we move towards next Friday and Saturday. That's your forecast.